Now down in here, where I have these ripples that I've started to work on a little bit, putting highlight colors in, well, the method that I'm following is I'm brightening the color toward the middle of the established face of each little ripple. So I'm not just putting this brighter orange color anywhere. I'm specifically putting it right in the middle of the already more orange color, because if you remember at the beginning when I laid this out, I started with this more orange color that's down at the base. And then I put these grayer, darker reflection colors over that and kind of blended them together. So to enhance that effect that I already have going, I'm going to put the brightness, maybe there's some rocks down there catching the sunlight, and I'm going to brighten those up. I can even use black. Let's do some real quick. So right here, to me this looks kind of funny, and so I'll work on this area. Now this is a established reflection area where I started with my light grayish blue color, and then after I put that on, I put this more brownish gray, you know, whatever you want to call that color, yellowish brownish gray, inside of the lighter bluer color that I put on. That all is on the reflection area that's on top of these faces. So I'm noticing that this I made large. I made that darker reflection area kind of large in comparison to these up here. So the pattern that I always want to be mindful of with water is that it's constantly, it's always gradually changing as you go up or down in the picture. So every shape, every color gradually gets smaller or bigger or brighter or dimmer as you get higher or lower on the picture. These shapes, these darker reflection shapes, are getting smaller as they come closer to me because there's less and less area that's reflecting. And so suddenly I have a large one here. It's not that that can't happen, it's just that it's so out of place right now because of that sudden change. So what I'll do is make this area smaller, and then it'll feel like it's more in line with what's happening in this picture. So why don't we go with what's already here? I'm going to make the face of a wave right here. So red and yellow. This is the face of a wave. This is another face right here. I can see I painted one there too that's kind of dark. So I'll just brighten both of those up. I'll use all this yellow right here, and then I'll even I'll divide them up a little bit by putting some black. Watch, I'll make it like maybe there's a couple rocks in there and this is a shadow in between them. Let's do it in both of them. So I can do that by putting that black down and then gradually blending away from that black that I put in there. See how I did that? I left the black in the middle. Now I'm kind of rounding that shadow. The face of a wave is a magnifying glass. And so whatever's toward the middle kind of bubbles up. So to get that effect, I'll just round this shape, and then I'll put a bright highlight in the middle of it. Watch me take the white and put the brightest area right there in the middle. Let's get a little bit more. I'm trying not to get too much white. Okay, so I have these bright colors right in the middle of each of these faces, but now the reflection area is all messed up. So to do that, I'm going to take a black and white. I already have orange on there. If I add blue, it's going to get too green. But I know that if I just use black and white, that's going to be similar to putting a blue reflection on an orange surface. Well, I don't know why I just dipped in blue. That was a mistake. I had to go white. Okay, so now white. So this is just pure gray. And now I'm going to take that and put it on the reflection areas. See it? This wave kind of ramps up right here, and I'll just blend this right down into that. So I'm reblending the edges around each of these wave faces with this gray that I'm putting on. And I can even take that black and continue, so that little shadow between the rocks, I can continue that down into this reflection area, just not using the orange. Now I'm using the black. And anything that goes into that reflection area, because it's a concaved shape, it condenses it. So the lines get squished this way. So wherever I have any kind of lines, and you can really make reflections start to look realistic by, if you want to get that tedious, I mean, this is tedious. But if I continue shapes into that reflection area and flatten them out, see, they're all squished now, so I'll put this white. See how I leave the black? Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Ugh. See, so that black that I had in this orange area continues on up into this gray area. Now I'm blending this white into that black I just applied. And then I'm just taking these brush strokes, you know, and just going around my wave area. Just blending as good as I can. A lot of things going on, so it's a tricky thing to blend. Let's see if we can bring this wave face over a little bit, like this. See, so now I have these separations in these rocks where I use this black to make those separations. I've continued them right into my reflection area, and then it goes sideways because it's getting squished right here. And I don't have to think real hard about what those shapes are doing as long as they're just squished. I'm just redoing it because I thought maybe I could do it better if I tried a second time. Alright, and then I want these to blend. Now my goal when I first started was to make the face of the wave bigger and the reflection area smaller. So I think I've accomplished that. Now I just want to tie it into what's already there. Here I'm just blending, just trying to get a soft, gradual change. That black looks a little bit stark to me, so I'm going to try to soften it a little bit. So let's put the orange back in the middle here. Just try to undo the intensity of that black stripe right through the middle of that. So I've got two rocks kind of side by side right here showing through the face of that wave. That one too, the black. You know, I did go a little bit heavy on that black right through the middle of that wave. There, let's do some more. That was kind of fun. So here's a real big fat reflection area I think would look better if I changed it up a little bit. So let's do the face of it. So let's take this real skinny face, make it bigger. And so got a face right in here. When I do the face of a wave, I'm just remembering to making it a stretched out kind of an oval shape with stretched out ends. And let's put a few shadows. This time, maybe not a real specific divide somewhere. Maybe just some general shadows. I've got a dark area there. So now I'll put my highlights where that dark area is not. Just leave things a little more obscure on this one. Okay. And then I'll rinse out my brush real quick and get into the black. I'm going to make a reflection area below and above this face and try to blend it in, and then use white to make it more gray. And then I just want it to blend gradually into this. Now here's another thing I try to be aware of when I'm painting the faces of waves. Typically the top of one of these little guys is more pointed, it has more of a sharp ridge than this lower part. See, it swoops down, that's the lower part. So in order to make that look, my edges are typically just sharper up here at the top, and then I make a wider gradient. I have more blending here and a wider area of blending near the base, so that it looks like a more gradual transition at the base of that little face, and more of a sudden transition over the top. Now this will be fun. Let's take a little bit of white, and maybe this is really ramping up here. You know, it's hitting a rock and splashing out right here. Let's make just a couple of those. So I'm going to go through and just in some key places where I think it'll just be some real nice highlights to, I don't know, just make some interesting spots on this stream. I'm going to find little faces of waves to do this exact thing to. And if the reflection area looks like it's too big or too small, I adjust the size. Knowing where that reflection area is, I kind of have my general guide. And I can use a black and white mix when I'm doing wet on wet and the orange is blending with my reflection color. I can use black and white instead of something with blue in it so that it doesn't turn green, because when blue light mixes with an orange colored light, you would get a slightly violet, blue-violet shade. And so I'm going to get a real similar color to that just by using the black and white. Okay, now right here, I'm going to do the same thing, but doing the black first. And I can see that I have a little bit of a brownish reflection within that reflection area. So I'll do my gray, and then I'll see if I can blend the brown into the middle of that, and then have some shapes even in that brown reflection area. See, I'm defining it right here. This is where that reflection area is, kind of inside these boundaries. So I'm going to put my black first, like this. Okay, and then I'm going to put some, hang on a second. My black first and then some white. Okay, my brush is getting a little bit flared out. Okay, so it's not so important exactly where I put these strokes. I'm just making just a hint of some kind of shapes that are in the water there. And then leaving some black so that it looks like the shadows in between the shapes. Like this. There, so now I have a reflection area here. Let's go back with a little bit of black. Kind of go back and forth so that it's a little bit softened. This paint does dry pretty fast. Okay, now I can always come back, and it's very easy to make a black and white mix and blend it into itself. So I'm not going to worry too much about how I'm going to blend the orange into that gray. What I'm going to do next is, after I get this as light as I want it to be, I'm going to do the browner area in the middle of this. So right here I go red and yellow. I'm going to keep this in the middle of this area. I'm going to try to make a similar color to what was there. So red and yellow and some black to turn it into a brown. Like this. And I want to keep it in that boundary, just like it was. Let's put a little more yellow. Just like this. There we go. And then I'll put just a tiny bit of white in there to create some shapes, just like I did when it was the black and white. Put a few shapes in there. Like that. Now this is getting real tedious if you get down to this level of detail. So I'll grab a tiny bit of black, and if I want to redefine some of the little shadows that are within that. Oh, there's my phone buzzing. But I got to finish this spot. Okay, so now you can see I've got a border of the more gray color surrounding this more brown color. So now my next step will be my more orange color right here, and then blend that into the gray. So let's try that. Red and yellow. If you've ever tried to call me, this is why I don't answer. Okay, right here. Let's put a little bit of black, just like I did before, just putting some shadows in here. Like this, and then blend those out, make them soft. So I'm going to add a little bit of white for some highlights. Be nice if I could do this level of detail everywhere, but I'm just going to do it in a few key places. Sometimes that looks better than doing it everywhere anyway. Okay, and then I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm going to go black and white. Just do more of that blending right into that black and white. There we go. So see, I have a real complex blend of colors by doing this method. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's actually hard. There we go. Just blend that right in like that.